Scientists and medical researchers have for years differed over the exact definition of a pandemic. Is it a pandemic or an epidemic? But one thing everyone agrees on is that the word describes the widespread occurrence of disease in excess of what might normally be expected in a geographical region. Today in this video we will see top 10 pandemics of history. 10. Russia typhus epidemic. During and shortly after the war, epidemic typhus caused up to 3 million deaths in Russia, and several million citizens also died in Poland and Romania. 9. Mexico smallpox epidemic. The history of smallpox in Mexico spans approximately 500 years from the arrival of the Spanish to the official eradication in 1951. It was brought to Mexico by those in Spanish ships, then spread to the center of Mexico, where it became a significant factor in the fall of Tenochtitlan. 8. Antonine Plague. The Antonine Plague of 165 to 180 AD, also known as the Plague of Galen, was the first known pandemic impacting the Roman Empire, possibly contracted and spread by soldiers who were returning from campaigns in the Near East. Scholars generally believe the plague was smallpox, although measles has also been suggested. 7. COVID-19 pandemic. The COVID-19 pandemic, also known as the coronavirus pandemic, is an ongoing global pandemic of coronavirus disease 2019, caused by severe acute respiratory syndrome coronavirus 2. The novel virus was first identified in Wuhan, China, in December 2019. 6. Kokolitli epidemic of 1545 to 1548. The Kokolitli epidemic, or the Great Pestilence, is a term given to millions of deaths in the territory of New Spain, in present-day Mexico in the 16th century, attributed to one or more illnesses collectively called Kokolitli, a mysterious illness characterized by high fevers and bleeding. 5. Third Plague Pandemic. The Third Plague Pandemic was a major bubonic plague pandemic that began in Yunnan, China, in 1855, during the 5th year of the Xianfeng Emperor of the Qing dynasty. This episode of bubonic plague spread to all inhabited continents, and ultimately led to more than 12 million deaths in India and China. 4. HIV/AIDS pandemic. HIV/AIDS, or human immunodeficiency virus, is considered by some authors a global pandemic. However, the WHO currently uses the term global epidemic to describe HIV. As of 2018, approximately 37.9 million people are infected with HIV globally. 3. Plague of Justinian. The Plague of Justinian, or Justinianic Plague, 541-549 AD, was the first major outbreak of the First Plague Pandemic, the first Old World pandemic of plague, the contagious disease caused by the bacterium Yersinia pestis. 2. Spanish flu. Spanish flu, also known as the Great Influenza Epidemic, or the 1918 influenza pandemic, was an exceptionally deadly global influenza pandemic caused by the H1N1 influenza A virus. Nearly a third of the global population, or an estimated 500 million people, had been infected in 4 successive waves. 1. Black Death. The Black Death, also known as the pestilence, the Great Mortality, or the Plague, was a bubonic plague pandemic occurring in Afro-Eurasia from 1346 to 1353. It is the most fatal pandemic recorded in human history, causing the death of 75 to 200 million people in Eurasia and North Africa, peaking in Europe from 1347 to 1351.